Welcome to Terrific Talk. Thank you for checking out the podcast here on the CLNS Media Network. I'm Tom Anderson, and today I'm joined by one of the most influential reporters in all of sports. He's been breaking news for ESPN for 10 years. I can't thank him enough for coming on today. He is none other than Adam Schefter. Adam, welcome to Terrific Talk.
Thanks for having me, Tom. I appreciate it. Happy July 4th week to you.
It's my birthday, by the way, July 4th.
Well, happy birthday in advance, Tom.
Thank you. So you've built up this amazing brand. You're one of the most trusted names in sports reporting. You've got over 7 million followers on Twitter. How have you done it? What do you think are some of the keys to your success?
Well, it only took 30 years, Tom.
There you go.
Listen, I feel very fortunate to have started out in newspapers and having worked over 15 years in newspapers. And again, that was such a great training ground, getting to work in the Colorado newspaper war between the Rocky Mountain News and the Denver Post. And when I first got into this, didn't think that this would be the career that I would wind up in. I never imagined that I would be a football television reporter for a great network like ESPN, working with the great people that I do. That would be something that was so beyond my imagination. I really just wanted to be a baseball newspaper reporter or maybe even a newspaper columnist. And, of course, the media landscape shifted, and all I could do was basically try to work as hard as I could and do the best job I could and make as many contacts as I could and build as many relationships as I could. And it just sort of evolved over time. So when you say, how did this happen or how did you do this, I didn't have any great plan to do this. It's all been sort of accidental, and it's happened all along the way, and I feel very fortunate that it has.
It's an amazing journey. I heard you once say that sometimes the best thing to happen to you is for someone to tell you no.
Oh, yeah.
At what times in your career did you face some adversity?
Well, you just pick a spot, and there have been people all along the way that have said no, that have rejected you, that have discouraged you, that have stood in your way. Like that's not just me. That's not exclusive to me. That's everybody. I think that everybody's encountered no all along the way, and I think that builds you up and it makes you appreciate when you finally do get where you'd like to go or do get to land a job that you could only dream of getting. Again, it took me 2 years to get a newspaper job, and the only reason I went to graduate school at Northwestern was because nobody would hire me out of college. Every newspaper sent me a rejection letter, and even the way that I wound up in this field to begin with was just the fact that the football team didn't need somebody to pick up jock straps and hand out water bottles, and the same with the basketball team, and there was rejection there, and there was rejection when I went to graduate school trying to get a job, and there was rejection when I got an internship in Seattle trying to land a full-time job, and there was rejection even when I landed in Denver and I wanted to be that baseball beat writer, and they interviewed, didn't get that job, and I was forced to stick on the poor NFL beat and cover the Denver Broncos, who went on to win 2 Super Bowls. And so, again, if you're one of those people that believes in things happen for a reason, and I often do believe in that, and in my particular case, it's a situation where, again, this was not what I set out to do. This is what happened all along the way. But I can tell you that at every step of the way, it was filled with rejection.
What would you say is your favorite part of the job today?
That's a great question. What do I like about my job? I like everything. The people I work with are tremendously talented. The company I work for has kind of led the way in that space. I love a big story. That's the best. Whether you're working on it, broke it, reporting on it, analyzing it, whatever it may be. When there's a big story, free agency, or the draft, that's to me that's as good as it gets. Again, you live for those moments and feel very fortunate to do the job that I do.
You break news all the time. These days, a lot of people, are tweeting things out fast without really checking their sources. They're just kind of in a hurry to get it out there. How do you combat that to make sure, you get the news out first while also making sure it's correct and credible?
That's a great question, Tom. And I would say this, that I think that you look at every story and there's an upside to reporting on a story and being first, and there's a downside to it. And how does the upside compare to the downside? And there's a lot of things you hear. And there are not any stories, I don't think, that are worth the upside if you're risking or exposing yourself on the downside of things, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was in graduate school, they said to us, they said, if your mother tells you she loves you, check it out. And all these years later, I haven't confirmed that my mother loves me, but I've been able to confirm other news stories. And so you're just trying to do that. And you know when you feel like you have the story confirmed and are comfortable going with it. But again, there's nothing quite like double checking it, triple checking it. But of course, we live in a day and age where, as you mentioned, Tom, people are asking you to be first on things, but you better be right on things. And it's more important to be right than it is to be first. And so you just have to be extra careful on these things. And even when you do report things sometimes, and then people deny it, and, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I've had that happen in my career. And you know the truth. You know that the story, you wouldn't have gone with the story if you hadn't checked it out. But yet some people, they go a different way.
That's got to be frustrating.
Well, it is, no job is perfect. Every job comes with challenges. And that's part of the situation. It is what it is.
So when you're not working and you're not looking at your phone, what do you like to do outside of the job?
Well, it's a good question, and I would just say to you that the job in a way really infiltrates your life to the point where it takes over a lot of things. So, right now, I just played golf with my cousin and my nephew and some friends, and we are driving back, and he's driving, and I was on my phone on the way up, and I'm making some calls and doing your podcast on the way back, and the job is kind of all-encompassing, like a lot of jobs for a lot of people in a lot of fields. Not any different, and I think if you are fully invested in your job, it consumes a lot of your time. And so, like I said, it becomes a part of you. And so if I'm not working, I'm with my family, and if I'm not with my family, I'm working. There aren't many times that I take that all of a sudden, like, I don't remember the last beach day I had. I don't remember the last time we went on a vacation for a week and just said, okay, let's leave the phones home and disconnect. And that doesn't happen. You just don't do that. And my wife and I went to Nantucket for our 10th wedding anniversary a couple of years ago on a Friday. I remember it was the first time we had been away together in a very long time. And when we landed, the news broke that the Chiefs had just fired their general manager, John Dorsey. And all of a sudden you've got people around the league calling you to ask what happened, and other front office people calling you to see what the Chiefs are going to do for a replacement. And you're on the phone quite a bit. I remember, that I don't think that was the way that my wife envisioned spending our 10th wedding anniversary, but
probably not.
Sometimes that's what happens, and that's part of the job too.
What's like a typical Sunday game day like for you?
Great question. And in the past, it has been such that, first of all, you wake up with a lot of adrenaline on Sunday morning. I would imagine it's a lot like, the teams who are involved in the games, whether it's the front office or the coaching staff or the players or the medical group. Like, you just wake up, there's a certain pep in your step. It feels like game day. It feels like Sunday. There's a certain feel to those days in the fall because, there's 17 of them in this regular season, and you can just feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love that feeling of Sundays. And, I'll be up at 4:35 in the morning and, filing some news to the ESPN news desk and driving to Bristol and having an early breakfast. A lot of times I'll have breakfast with Mort, 7 in the morning. We go into meetings to go over the show, go do Sports Center, go do Sunday NFL Countdown. When Sunday NFL Countdown ends at 1 o'clock, what we've done in the past, the last 10 years, is we go to what we call the ESPN War Room, and all our colleagues and all the football shows, they go in there, and there must be, 12, 14 TV screens, and you're watching all the games all together, a bunch of people.
Cool.
And that's a lot of fun. And it's also the one time during the week, I feel like, where you just get to sit back and kind of watch. And I don't want to say you don't have to worry about checking on things because guys get hurt, but I mean, the game's going on. Like, let the game play out, and we'll check on the injuries after.
Yeah.
But you'd like to just kind of, I guess, let your guard down, if you will. Just kind of kick back, just kind of observe and watch on a Sunday. That we love doing.
That's really interesting. Just out of curiosity, how many phones do you have?
2.
2? Interesting.
Yeah.
I can't imagine the amount of contacts that you have. I'm just imagining you like losing your phone and like a Facebook post like, "Hey guys, new phone, leave your number."
Well, in my phone there are 12,611 contacts listed.
Oh
right
my
now.
God.
But some of them are repeats, and once I was also single back in Denver, so some of these are people I used to date back in the day.
Incredible.
You know, and some of them are probably repeats too. But yeah, right now the iPhone's listing 12,611.
Amazing. I recently had Trey Wingo here on the pod, and he was raving about Sushi Monday in the ESPN cafeteria.
Yeah, excellent.
What is your favorite go-to at the cafe there?
Well, I wish Sushi Monday was every day, to be perfectly honest. I would have it every day. They do a great job of that. They have a Starbucks kiosk, basically, that, you know, on Sunday morning I go get my chai tea latte or whatever it may be.
Nice.
And you know, the people there, they really do a great job. They work so hard and appreciate everything they do for the company. All their stuff is good. You know, salad bar, they have a great salad bar that's really good. I'll do that a lot of times during the week. On game day, a lot of times we get some omelets made for us for dinner. Nothing better than omelets for dinner, Tom. It's always a good thing.
Good go-to.
Yeah. I think eggs for dinner are massively underrated.
Okay.
My own opinion. And so, you know, they really offer a lot of choices. There's a lot of variety in that ESPN Cafe. Aside from shooting all the ESPN Sports Center commercials that they have,
yeah,
they do a great job. And there's a lot of people in there that work really hard that we're indebted to for their service.
Last question here. Bob Lee retiring after 40 years from ESPN. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm just going to tell you that he was on air the most talented person I've ever worked with. I remember the day that Aaron Hernandez committed suicide in prison. And I was driving in from New York. It was 5:30 in the morning, and let's just say I got to ESPN at 7 o'clock, and we rushed on camera, and it was me and Bob Lee on there for about 30 minutes, and he's speaking spontaneously off the top of his head, no notes, and I mean, it was unbelievable. He could have been an evening newscaster. He could have been David Muir or Lester Holt or Walter Cronkite or you pick the guy. That's how smooth and polished and worldly and intelligent he was, that he could sit down and do live TV in breaking news situations unlike anybody that I've ever seen. He just was incredibly poised, incredibly intelligent. He belongs on the ESPN Mount Rushmore of great people who have passed through the company. He might be the first name that you put on there. I mean, Chris Berman would probably be the first two. And just been, you know, you heard all the kind words that everybody had to say about the guy.
Yeah.
And I would second every single word that we heard and then some. And I think Jeremy Schaap eloquently said that there never has been an ESPN without Bob Lee working there, and there never will be another ESPN again in which Bob Lee hasn't made a mark on the place. He was that good. He was the conscience of ESPN, and I know he's alive, and I know he'll be around, but he will be missed. I don't want to make it sound like he's gone, but the guy was incredible at his job. Incredible.
Great legacy, Adam. Thank you so much for your perspective there. Everybody go check out the Adam Schefter podcast. Follow him on Twitter. Maybe go grab an omelet with him at the ESPN Cafe. Yeah. Adam, thanks again for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Tom, thanks for having me, and happy birthday to you.
All right. Thank you to Adam Schefter for coming on Terrific Talk this week. As always, go subscribe to Terrific Talk on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Rate it. Leave a nice little review if you've got time. Definitely appreciate that. Wait a minute. I'm just getting some breaking news in here into the Terrific Talk studios. The Brooklyn Nets have acquired two superstars, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving? Seems like a big deal. I think I might need to do another podcast. I think I need to do an emergency podcast with Steve. I'm going to go work on that right now. For now, signing off. Terrific Talk. Kobe. Or should I say KD?
Welcome to Terrific Talk. My name is Tom Anderson. Tom Anderson.
Play to him back again. Gone. Back, gone. Tom
Anderson.
Great cash, homie. Great cash, homie.
I feel ready to go another 9 innings.
Touchdown.
I feel ready to go another 9 innings.
Touchdown.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Down goes Frazier.
Terrific Talk Podcast. Welcome back, Terrific Talk Podcast.
Here comes the hose.
I'm your host, Tom Anderson.
First, behind the bag. It gets to Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it. Back.